So we're focusing on color relationships according to the color wheel. And color relationships are also called color schemes or color harmonies. It's just a way to organize color, and you can often find this in all types of art and design formats. So colors belong on a wheel because they have relationships, which means they interact with each other in different ways. Of course, we organize it according to the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Now, this example here does use the primary colors. We have blue, red, and yellow, but it also includes a secondary color, which is orange, and that creates a bit of an accent in the organization. You can also claim that this color scheme uses warm colors. We have red, orange, and yellow, which are warm colors, and it has a little bit of a blue color, and that creates some emphasis. This example here uses a lot of reds with just a couple blues. So we're going to start with monochromatic colors. This is a color scheme that uses only one hue or color that varies in value and intensity. So this painting here uses a monochromatic color scheme using blue. This example here uses lots of violet and purple. Filmmakers often use monochromatic color schemes depending on what's happening in the movie. These are two scenes from the Grand Budapest Hotel. This one uses a lot of pinks, while this one uses a lot of different values of red. This scene here from The Matrix uses lots of different values of green. So monochromatic color schemes create a clean and simple aesthetic, and it creates a sense of unity. We often see this in interior design. It's probably the safest and easiest color scheme to use. It achieves a serene design, creates a sense of calm, and conveys reliability because it's just one color and you're making it lighter and darker and duller. So this example uses lots of values of red. Yes, there's pink, but pink is light red. Now we're going to talk about analogous colors. These are closely related colors because they're colors next to each other on the color wheel. So this stack of fabric here, this is an analogous color scheme of blue, blue-green, and green. Analogous colors, they are so easy to recognize. They're just 3 to 4 colors next to each other on the color wheel. We often see them in interior design. So this one uses some greens and some blues. So there's different ways to organize analogous colors. We can have primary with next to a secondary, or you can have a primary, a tertiary, and a secondary. Now these are different sets of analogous colors. Analogous color schemes really help create a mood or feeling in an artwork. So this painting here by Vincent van Gogh uses a lot of greens, greens, and blues. Yes, it uses some white, but that is just to help to create the background. So as I said, analogous color schemes can be found in lots of products and logos, such as for BP and Tostitos, as well as the logo for the Seattle Sonics. Now we're talking about complementary colors. These are colors across from each other on the color wheel. They can be a mixture of a primary with a secondary color. We have a primary with a secondary color. We also have tertiaries are also complements of each other. So the reason why we would put complementary colors next to each other is they make the other colors appear more bright and they contrast. So this painting here by Vincent van Gogh uses the complementary colors of yellow and purple. There's also some orange and blue, and there's also some green and red. The movie Amélie uses complementary colors of red and green in several scenes. So when you place them next to each other, the complementary colors make each other appear brighter, more intense. However, when complementary colors are mixed with each other, in theory, they become duller or gray. They become less intense. So complementary colors, they create contrast. This is not necessarily because they look good with each other. We often find complementary colors used in advertisements, in designs, in magazines, as well as in fashion design. And you can see how these complementary colors, the way they almost seem to be very vibrant. So the orange is kind of blending into the red. Those are not complements. The violet is very dark, but it's not a complement of red. It is still considered a warm color. But green is a complement of red. So that green should be jumping out right at you. Here you can see these two colors are very similar to the blue because to create green, you do need blue. in the color that you mix. But for here, the orange is almost popping out from the blue. And then we can see it here as well with the violet. The violet is very dark when compared to the yellow, and it's almost intensely popping out. So these are some famous paintings that feature complementary colors. We have this one from Vincent van Gogh. Here's another painting by Vincent van Gogh. So in your notes, you're going to have red plus green, yellow plus violet, and red plus orange. Now let's talk about the values of colors, making your colors lighter and darker and dull. So one way to organize colors is warm colors versus cool colors, because colors on their own already kind of have an intensity and value. For example, yellow is going to be the brightest and lightest color. Blue, blue-violet, violet, those are our darkest colors. So warm colors, these are colors that suggest warmth, action, and energy. Warm colors seem to advance towards our eyes, and there's a reason for that. So depending on where they're placed on the color wheel, we can say that colors can be a little warmer or a little cooler. Because violet is more of a cooler-ish color, while obviously reds and oranges are much warmer. So this painting here uses a lot of warm colors. Now think about stop signs. Stop signs are red, and that has more immediacy, as in we notice it more quickly rather than the blue stop sign, right? So if red lights when you're driving, if red stop signs, if they're not red, you're gonna drive right through the intersection, right? If they're blue, you're probably not gonna notice it as quickly. So now we're thinking about cool colors. These are colors that suggest coolness, calm, and relaxation. Cool colors recede. We notice them, but not as quickly as we notice warm colors. So cool colors definitely create a sense of calming and coolness. This is some concept art from a video game, so this uses a lot of cooler colors. Yeah, there's some brighter greens, but that's just to help draw your eye around the image. So in this painting here, the warm colors create emphasis. It draws your eye in. It makes the interior of the room appear more warm and inviting versus the window that has a lot of cooler colors. Even the area around the table looks a little intimidating because it looks cold. Now we're going to talk about value. So when we create different values of colors, we use certain words. When we make colors darker, we're creating shades. When we make a color less intense or more dull, we call them tones. And when we make colors lighter, they're called tints. So colors have a range of values. You can make colors very light, or you can make colors very dark. To create a tint, we're mixing a color plus white. To create a shade, we're mixing a color plus black. And to create a tone, we're mixing a color plus gray. This makes it more gray or more dull, less intense. Now you might be thinking, what about CYMK? Now this is how ink prints out using your printer, which uses a subtractive color method. And then there's also color theory with lighting. So this is additive color. This is different than mixing colors with paint, which is a pigment mixing process. So if we were to combine all the different colors of light, you do end up with white light. And again, this is an additive color process. This is different than mixing colors with paint. Then there are neutral colors. These are colors we associate with earth and nature. They might be ranges of browns, oranges, kind of like different blues. You can see it here in this painting. The neutral colors are black and white, gray and brown.